to this side of the studio as we witness Dplus KIA reacting to the draw last night and being obviously very happy.
Yeah, let's not get too happy, guys.
FlyQuest. No. I'm just saying FlyQuest has the chance to do the funniest thing right now.
True. Guys, I have an end-of-game celebration already in mind.
Yeah, no, it backfired for G2 last year, so yeah, it can be interesting, especially given the way FlyQuest played yesterday. Really convincing game. I love the approach. They had really true to themselves.
No, I think the way that FlyQuest approached yesterday's games was one of the most planned approaches we saw to day one of Swiss. They're one of the teams that picked red side, which if you don't know, teams don't do that. They pick blue side. And they kind of just went for a draft that was really good in a lane swap situation with Bwipo down in that bot lane, just dying in the beginning, but still being able to soak up the XP. And it kind of put them in a position where their bot lane was so far ahead of the enemy bot lane. Bwipo was so far ahead of the enemy now, and they were just able to slowly but surely out-macro their opponents in a very controlled manner that just made it so Gam never had a chance in that game.
It got to the point where he was level 6 and then Gnar was level 4 at that
was sad.
It was actually just disgusting. And I know Bwipo's talked about it a lot, how impactful a counterpick is, and saying like, I don't really care about counterpicking against my opponent, I care about counterpicking against their team composition. Like, that has always been his mindset. And obviously, like, that is a mindset shared by a lot of people. But if you're looking at Gam's composition, how do you fight against the Scion? So I thought that it's nice to see how much value they put into these counterpicks, and it gets them those red sides every time.
Yeah, I definitely think a team like Damwon is definitely going to try and contest a team like Fly a lot more in the early game than what we saw from Gam yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think Damwon is, or the DK is also a team that just, it brings chaos. They want to fight, they want to have these messy games as well. I mean, it gets, I don't know if they want to, but towards the mid to late game, it does get a bit messy. And I think in their first game against Fnatic yesterday, there was ups and there was down. But in the end, they were able to close out the game, and I'm not sure how today is going to go based on the DK I saw yesterday.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, the quality of the opponents matter a lot. So even though everyone was looking at Dplus KIA and saying like, can you maintain your lead, right? But at least Fnatic in those games were able to challenge them, whereas Gam was not be able to. So I think this is going to be a good indicator to see like if Dplus has a lead, can they keep it versus FlyQuest, that I think is a much better opponent versus, you know, putting that out there.
And one of the lanes that they can swap around is mid lane. And I'm really excited to see ShowMaker versus Quad, because ShowMaker's LeBlanc yesterday, I mean, what a 1v9 machine. I think historically ShowMaker has always showed up in competitive when it came to LeBlanc. For me, he kind of pioneered the way to play LeBlanc competitively in the mid to late game, because a lot of teams struggled with that. They always thought you needed to one-shot. You don't need to do that. You need to poke and make sure the enemy can't fight.
And it's so beautiful watching Lucid in fights when he's on Vi or something like that. I think mechanically he's incredibly talented. So just being able to see how he can play versus Inspired, that's a matchup I need to see.
Oh,
that's exactly what I wanted to say. This rookie jungler on one side, maybe the best Western jungler we have on the other, and Inspired on this, he's gonna take on the challenge. You know that it's gonna be like this, especially playing against Dplus KIA. Let's check the MasterCard fan
You got
prediction.
believers?
There's a few.
Do we have believers here? We have... Sorry, I can't read. I'm not even faking it, actually.
I'm going to run up to the screen. I'm running up.
I got a 9.7%.
20.3.
All right, so we have 20% of believers here.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's fair. I think Dplus is still coming in as favorites, but I don't think these odds justify how close of a game this can actually be. I think if you are a FlyQuest fan and seeing how you performed on day one, coming into this series once again having picked red side, I think they got something planned, and I think you can be hopeful towards them.
FlyQuest is cooking. Let's see what Bwipo can do and the rest of the team here against Dplus KIA, but time for us to send it over to the casters for the game and the draft.
That's us! We're the casters!
Hi, casters!
Hi! How you guys doing?
We're doing great, how are you?
Yeah, we're alright. Looking forward to a good game of League of Legends.
We're hoping.
It's Worlds!
Yeah.
I just love Worlds. It's so much fun to be here. And
I was actually expecting you to ask me something and a whole bit prepared.
Oh, you do have a whole bit?
I had a whole bit.
I did say I was going to ask you something. Okay, so here's the thing, Betty. The players are coming out, so I don't feel like I can ask it to you right now.
You had a window, I was ready, and you didn't do it.
I entirely forgotten to ask you it, so I'm sorry, you know? Jack was meant to be here, guys, but he's unwell today, so he's not here. So I'm going to ask Betty. Betty, can you be my Jack for a few moments?
I can.
Oh, nice.
Give me it. Well, medic.
Don't do an accent.
I won't do an accent.
Okay.
Fun fact, okay? FlyQuest, the last time they were in a group at Worlds with a Korean team and an LPL team.
Okay.
They went 3-3.
Oh, they did?
Now, they didn't take a game off the Korean team. However, no one from this Dplus KIA roster was on that DRX team.
Okay, because there were
So,
two different teams.
Technically, this FlyQuest has never lost to a Korean team before. That's a chat stat for you right there.
That is entirely a chat stat. I don't know what I was asking for. LCS, obviously, against the LCK, don't have the best track record either. 15-85 is the all-time record between those two regions. But FlyQuest looked solid yesterday, and Dplus KIA did not. They did not look too solid. Their early game was fine. Their mid game was an absolute shambles.
I think it was just that they ended up getting outplayed in some of the team fights, which definitely caught them off guard. But I'm excited. Honestly, the player I'm most excited for is Inspired.
Yeah.
So
he's gonna play Ivan.
Probably. The LCS made this fantastic montage of him
with the trigger
with
seeds.
Dubset, and it was fantastic. Would highly recommend you guys check it out. But yeah, as a player, he's someone that, I mean, he shows up when it matters, and he's always a joy to watch. Now, of course, FlyQuest are trying to move past their disappointment from MSI, and so we're going to see. I would say this is the first real competition here at the World Championship, and I'm excited to see what they can do against Dplus KIA. Now, the Renekton being banned away from Bwipo, the respect being shown given his domestic dominance on the champion. The Ivern as well going to be taken away from Inspired. Meanwhile, the Ziggs going to be taken away from aiming. A boom or a, I mean, it can be perceived in many different ways, because many people sit there and think of aiming as this incredible AD carry player.
Which he is.
When you put him on the Ziggs, he doesn't have that same impact, but at the same time, he's an incredible Ziggs player.
Yes.
So FlyQuest have to take that away from him. The Aurora naturally going to be banned, but now Yone is available. When we think of ShowMaker, though, we do traditionally think of those mages. He hasn't been having the best performance on the AD meta, but with the Rumble taken away, we'll see if Dplus KIA want to prioritize it. The Skarner is, of course, available. The Vi is up there as well. We've already talked about that throughout the day.
I mean, FlyQuest are kind of putting down the gauntlet, aren't they? They're saying if you don't first pick Yone, it gives us the option if we want to go Yone, especially since Inspired loves his Lilia pick, likes his Amumu as well with the Leandries, or even a Karthus if you're going a little bit more niche for him. He's very proficient on those champions. Vi is the pick here for Lucid. He's played that 12 times this summer, so very confident on it. Will FlyQuest look towards the Yone? Or is it going to be Kai'Sa? Or... Kai'Sa this early feels very...
It's
Bwipo. It's Bwipo. He was in this league for so long, and I forgot that he just always hovers the Kai'Sa. My mistake.
They're having a lot of discussion right now with the Ashe being open. They're going to do it. Of course, there's always the concern, given the lockdown potential of the Vi, but it does make sense in the hands of Massu, one of his most played from the LCS domestic season. The Syndra going to be taken away as well, really putting that pressure on ShowMaker to show what he's got prepared for this World Championship. They're testing, are you actually a Yone player? Are you going to be willing to bring that out in this game? Especially by denying the Rumble, it also makes Yone that much harder to bring out, because where does your AP threat come from then?
Exactly.
The problem is, you've picked two mobile carries into a Vi.
And a Yone, it seems.
And ShowMaker saying, no, I can play Yone, it's cool, I'm chilling. And he's more than happy to bring that one out. In terms of the matchup, it should be quad favored. Syndra can really bully out the Yone early on into the laning phase. But now Dplus KIA need to find some AP threat from somewhere. We've already talked about the potential of the Kai'Sa for the bot side of the map in the hands of aiming. That is a terrifying prospect. And it would synergize very nicely with their composition.
Yone top, Smolder mid. Also a possibility.
I mean, that's the other option, right? You can
Likes
always
it to
put the
Kingen.
Yone up towards the top side of the map. You can put the Smolder into the AD carry position. There's a lot of room for flexibility.
I will say, if we look at the year for ShowMaker and Kingen, ShowMaker hasn't played a single Smolder game. Kingen's played two. So it could be Yone mid, Smolder top. I sincerely doubt it, but it's always a possibility when you look at what these guys have played throughout.
Given how teams have been playing, the Smolder lock in here is a surprise at Worlds, because you're either putting it into the Ashe on the bot side of the map, which is already a very scary thing to do because of how easily you can get bullied out in the laning phase, but you're also blind picking it potentially into the top lane matchup, or you're putting it into Syndra, who's a very big lane bully. So it's a bit of a risky pick in my opinion, but we'll see how things pan out as Leona's locked in on the bot side for FlyQuest. The Rakan going to be banned away as a potential engage option from Moham. Rell, I wonder if that's likely going to follow.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by a Rell ban at all. Busio's Leona, very solid. I watched him a lot this year. I think he's really good at the champ. He had a disappointing MSI, I think, from all accounts. Massu was kind of the star of the bot lane at MSI, but Busio has gone from strength to strength ever since swapping from mid lane, I think at Papa Smithy's request when he was down in the Academy Leagues in the LCS. So I'm expecting big things from Busio, I'm going to be honest. We'll see how effective he can be against aiming and Moham in that bottom lane. There's a calm ban, the Jax as well, taken away by Dplus KIA. You said a Rell ban. I think it makes a lot of sense here if you're FlyQuest.
Debating it. Alistair was the other one I was going to mention. Bwipo looking pretty happy with how the draft has been going so far.
When does Bwipo not look happy?
Bwipo reviews.
True.
Only kidding, of course. Dplus KIA, how they're going to round out their ban phase. Of course, they've removed the Jax with a possibility of an answer into the Yone. And something like the Olaf, maybe they're worried about. Bwipo did bring that out a few times. So it's going to be the Skarner. Makes a lot of sense. People's Pick'em's going to be happy off the back of that. So how will FlyQuest round this out? Inspired has a very deep champion pool. Even here in Europe, we knew him for so many different champions. That hasn't changed since his departure over to the LCS.
I really like the Amumu. I think you have CC set up in 2 lanes at least.
It's a big Merc-Treads game.
Oh, it's a huge Merc-Treads game for Dplus KIA, right? But you already have CC set up in a couple of lanes. You have big AoE around it. You can follow off picks really well. You've got Scatter the Weak, you've got Arrow, you've got Solar Flare. You have so many setup tools.
Team fighting tools for sure. The Sylas locked in.
Smolder bot?
So that's going to be Sylas mid, Yone top, Smolder bot, Rell.
ShowMaker Sylas, man. It's ShowMaker Sylas.
I was wondering if we were going to see Sylas at Worlds. But yeah, I mean, it's ShowMaker Sylas.
I'm so excited.
I mean, he's got great ults to steal.
Yeah.
Ashe, Arrow, the Amumu ultimate, Leona ultimate, a lot of versatility. There's no way. That's more like... Those are more like Bwipo champions.
It's a very Bwipo champion. Is he going to be able to lock down the Yone in the top lane? It's locked in. Bwipo playing Darius in the top lane here. He's brought it out 3 times this year, I believe. And has won 2 of those games. So
now,
a little bit of experience at least.
I think it's a good matchup for Darius.
Sure.
Like, Yone... So Dplus KIA have gone for a lot of scaling. I would say their mid-jungle is the scariest power point that they have in the early game, but top side, like, you don't win that 2v2 in the top jungle matchup. The bot lane 2 versus 2, I think Ashe can very easily bully out the Smolder. I mean, I don't think FlyQuest won a lane swap here. I think they won standard lanes. The fact that you blind pick, well, I say you don't blind pick, what am I saying? You pick a Darius into the Yone, you're very clearly saying, I want to fight this match.
Yeah, I think if FlyQuest lane swap, they're kind of going against everything their draft tried to do, right? Like, they're trying to get winning lanes, they're trying to get pressure points, they're leaving that Darius pick for last, and we'll see how Dplus KIA can deal with it, because it's Kingen in the top lane on that Yone. As you say, they have a lot of scaling, but they are susceptible to pressure from this Amumu. They're susceptible to CC as well across the board, especially that Sylas in mid. If you can lock him down early doors,
I honestly really like this draft from FlyQuest.
So do I.
I think it's a bit all over the place from Dplus. The fact that they prioritize that Smolder so heavily. I mean, we'll see how things pan out. We're jumping into game, our last matchup of the 1-0 teams. Yep. The winner, of course, will go 2-0, and they will be joining alongside Genji, Hanwha Life, and LNG. No easy matchup there.
And I think it's a winner's bracket tomorrow as well. Those best of 3.
So you're thrust into it immediately.
Yeah, we'll see how...
Meanwhile, the loser will move into the 1-1 bracket, where there's a bunch of strong teams. If you haven't been paying attention, there is a couple good teams in there.
Yeah, just a few. We'll have to wait for that. For now, we have a smorgasbord of League of Legends on the cards. Both the supports going for sweepers on their first trinkets here.
I will say, the global power rankings, powered by AWS, the reason why I'm a fan of it is it's that statistical analysis, right? So it doesn't take into account all the subjectivity and all these other things, like the human eye test, right? But I think it paints this nice picture of the 16 versus 7 ranking. Yeah. And also, there's just a little bit more to play for. The elo you can gain by getting an upset win.
Yeah, who cares about winning worlds? You're playing for elo.
Every solo queue player's dream,
of a League of Legends player.
But yeah,
we've basically gone back to old elo in solo queue. It's like, I'll go from the 1,350 to 1,354.
It's true. It's really
true. And win this game. We talked about FlyQuest not wanting a lane swap. It looks like Dplus KIA might want one of their own, and that makes sense. Yep. They're going to try and force a Bwipo out of the jungle here. Moham going to follow up on that ward being placed. Bone plating procced on Bwipo. All the while Inspired is... I mean, he might as well. If you can get those hemorrhage stacks up, it's like 50 AD early doors. He's going in with the ghost. Going to get knocked up. ShowMaker chasing him down. The Ignite's ticking. Bwipo flashes. And he'll survive. Burns both his summoners for the luxury.
Bwipo, man, never change. He used both his summoners to go into a 1 versus 3, gets the Ignite out from Moham. No other summoners were used, but now the map is split. The traditional swap that we've been seeing so much is the top laner groups up with the AD carry to get that experience. Support goes to mid to help get the level 2. Then the support roams to bot. The TP comes in and they have to try and outplay the 2 versus 2. Fast push coming in from the FlyQuest bot lane.
How is Bwipo going to get to this lane, man?
I mean, he's heading top.
Yeah, but how is he going to get to the lane?
Yeah, I don't think he is mid.
Yep, nor do I. Oh, can he? Can't steal it. Can't get in range.
Doesn't have Q, so he can't. I mean, he can steal a couple of them.
It's 14 gold a pop. Living large.
I mean, of course, that's the big thing we didn't talk about, right? The lack of TP really changes the dynamic of the lane swap, right? Now Kingen choosing not to go to bot lane because they realize how much they're starving Bwipo. Busio still level 1, not being able to tick over just yet.
The other thing for Kingen was he didn't know where Busio was on the map. He didn't know where Inspired was on the map. So if he teleports to bot lane at that point, he could just be dived by the 3 of them, right? So
well, I mean, that's the usual play, right? The support comes bot, you try and then outplay the 2 versus 4.
So it could have been waiting for Moham to get down towards that bottom lane and then TP if we saw a conglomeration of FlyQuest down there. Because we don't, it looks like it's just going to be aiming, backing away, and Kingen staying in top.
What I think is super interesting is Massu and Busio now have the wave pushing back into them. So they're actually just setting up like a slow push, and they're quite happy to, well, not threaten the tower, not play for plates. They were able to get 1. But now, Bwipo has been able to go back to what is effectively a standard lane. And sure, you've been able to avoid some of the early levels, but I think FlyQuest, they're still in a very good position. Yeah. You can see your AD carry in a very comfortable spot. ShowMaker.
Flash from Busio. Oh, he was looking for the flash shield of Daybreak there, but didn't quite get the auto off in time. ShowMaker flashes away. Very close there, but still summoner for summoner, and Busio has the Hex Flash. Massu here catching the wave. FlyQuest played the lane swap really well yesterday as well. We're able to get a lot more gold out of the exchange than their rivals. Lucid here, he cleared out the Krugs, took a few camps away from the top side, but Inspired has a 2-camp lead right now, and there's no camps for Lucid to take in his bot side.
Just keeping track of the map right now. Inspired able to catch the respawn of the Raptors. Massu and Busio with some nice trading. Of course, Busio a little bit down on experience, but once these minions drop, he should be able to tick over to level 3. With that W on the Leona, you get so much more power in the laning phase. And speaking of,
Busio going in, Moham here will get the shield from the crash down. We saw FlyQuest actually pinging this next wave when it was about halfway the way to their lane. So they know this is where they want to get the wave shoved in and then likely get a base off. Get those first items. You can see aiming already has that tier.
It's going to be spotted on that ward.
They'll force this away and then they'll be able to get back. ShowMaker without flash, a lot more susceptible to quads damage in the mid lane.
Quad, in addition to the roster that I think has proved very fruitful.
Yeah, 100%.
We've heard Bwipo talking about how much more confidence they have in Quad and what he's been able to do for FlyQuest since his introduction to the league.
I mean, there were a lot of debates about whether Jensen being off the team was the right decision, right? It was all a buzz in the League of Legends world for a while, but seems like it's been pretty fruitful as Aingen's going to get stunned up here. Yeah, huge tempo loss for Aiming.
Freeze the wave, but he completely interrupts the back. Now he's susceptible for a potential gank. You can see ShowMaker moving into the bot river. Maybe he wants to look for a bit of vision, but Aiming now has to be scared. It's going to be a lot of farm lost. Nicely done from Busio. Really setting up his AD carry for success right now. Meanwhile, Inspired's just been power farming, as he often does.
Already has that fated ashes. Aiming has to flap his way away, and often you'll see junglers want their lanes to be pushing in when they start a Drake like this, but because the lane is effectively frozen, Busio can move up and help Inspired out with this Drake.
But also, Aiming now has to base, so you try and fast push so that it forces him to lose another wave.
It's really well done by FlyQuest.
But are they actually going to do that?
No. But they can keep it frozen.
The wave spot, but...
Oh, flash in onto Quad, who still has a flash of his own. Does he have the time to get it off? Unleash power, stolen by ShowMaker. And there's a reason he's in every cinematic as Syndra. Even when he steals the ult, it's effective.
I mean, nicely done there from Moham. Finds a nice window, knows that his AD carry was in an awkward position, had to go back to base. They've now swapped him up to top lane, given the state of the bot lane wave, threatening a dive onto Bwipo. It is Dplus KIA that draw first blood. They're able to secure the grubs as well. Now Bwipo, recognizing he's in danger, forced off the wave.
Bwipo's been forced right off here. Kingen and Aiming should be able to at least get a plate. Inspired and Busio on their way across. Bwipo able to walk away from this, then goes forward. He's looking for the apprehend, but he's met by 4 members of Dplus KIA. A little bit earlier there from Bwipo and meets an early grave.
An ambitious play from Bwipo. He thought that Moham had overstepped, but the collapse that came through from DK was so quick. And crucially, Kingen gets that kill as well, alleviating some of the pressure that Bwipo can have in this 1v1 matchup. Arrow connects.
So I think,
yeah,
it's the arrow in case Kingen immediately TPs, and then the arrow would interrupt his teleport, right? So it's a cool, cute idea. While we see ShowMaker trading with Quad in the mid lane.
Very nice trade from ShowMaker.
One of the problems I have with mistakes like that from Bwipo, where he just oversteps a little bit, is it relieves so much pressure from Dplus KIA, right? If Bwipo walks away, doesn't immediately go in, and then Busio and Inspired come across to cover a possible top lane dive, all the gain that Massu is getting in the bot lane is net positive. But because Bwipo dies, Massu got an advantage in bot lane. He's 11 CS up, he's 200 gold ahead, but you can see Kingen 650 ahead in the top lane. It doesn't give you, it's a law of equivalent exchange, it feels like. Bwipo has to die for Massu to get things in the bot lane.
I understood why he did it though, with Busio on the way and thinking that Moham made the overstep.
Yeah,
like
I get the idea, it just didn't work.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Both neutral objectives now about 2.5 minutes away. So it'll just mainly be a lot of laning. The supports are going to be roaming around the map looking to cover their laners. Massu with another push in top lane. He's built himself up a healthy lead over Aiming, largely because of how they've managed the wave in the early laning phase, as you highlighted. Moham, though, sets his sights on mid once more. Quad still has the flash.
I have to invest it here. Busio's on his way away. Quad flashes out, manages to escape. ShowMaker stole the Solar Flare. Wasn't able to connect it onto Quad.
But Moham's doing so much work in this
all over the map right now.
After they were able to get ShowMaker's flash early, you'd think that this would be so advantageous for Quad. He should be able to really bully out this Sylas, but that's the scary thing about Sylas. Once you get a couple levels, that Electrocute gives you so much trading power. Now Massu forced to disengage, given the Dplus hovering around the top side of the map. They have pressure in mid, pressure on top. Kingen, meanwhile, is happily farming on the bot side of the map. So everything going the way of Dplus KIA right now.
Aiming's going to be given even more gold in this top side, trying to even him out with Massu. And this is something Dplus KIA did for the entirety of the split. Just funnel gold into Aiming. Busio underneath the tower, caught with a shadowing strike. He's pretty tanky. The arrow coming down as well. Lucid's going to tank it. Moham needs to get out because he falls to the turret. Dplus KIA will get one in response. ShowMaker taking his second kill of the game.
I mean, a 1-for-1 in that situation. Well played by Busio. Doesn't expend the flash either. Massu has to be careful though with ShowMaker. Low on mana. Oh, Lucid though with the wraparound, and there's no Inspired here to cover.
Lucid has the Vault Breaker. ShowMaker chases in the cleanse a moment too late. Aiming gets the kill. And Dplus KIA continue to invest gold into him. Inspired is waiting for Lucid here. The bandage just short. Inspired on the Amumu, can't find any friends to fight. He flashes, he gets him. The tantrum will bring down Lucid.
At the very least, it's a 1-for-1, but that tower is going to drop. All of the plates secured in this top lane. And crucially, that advantage that Massu had built up for himself, the coverage wasn't there for FlyQuest. That gap has now been closed. Aiming, he really wants to get this local gold. Inspired's not going to let him have it.
I mean, that's good from Inspired, forces him away, make sure Aiming can't get it. But this sort of play pattern of repeatedly going back to Aiming's lane, trying to get him into a good position is something we saw from Dplus KIA through the entirety of summer. It's how they played. Aiming, an incredible AD carry, has had an incredible summer split. A lot of this is because Dplus KIA love putting all the eggs in the Aiming basket.
I mean, so many times we saw him single-handedly carry games for Dplus KIA from the regular season. And even in playoffs, he was having some stellar performances. And so far, even though his early laning phase didn't quite go the way that he wanted, he still finds himself down in CS. That gold slowly being funneled back into him. But really, the stars of this game right now are the solo laners of Dplus KIA. Kingen has handled the lane swap beautifully. They've punished the fact that Bwipo doesn't have TP incredibly well. And Bwipo, with a few oversteps, has ultimately cost him massively as this Yone continues to ramp up. I was skeptical about this composition that came through from Dplus, but ultimately a lot of comfort, specifically for ShowMaker in the mid lane, and they're making it work here in the early game.
We haven't really seen the FlyQuest composition truly come alive yet. Like, Inspired has been involved in one kill. That was a flash bandage shot in the top lane. When they start to get some of this AoE really going, when they start to get some of this pick really going, we might see it be a little bit more explosive. Inspired was looking for a second Drake here. He's going to be forced away by Aiming and Moham. Lucid coming across. They don't keep the Drake aggroed fully as it goes back, loses a bit of patience, but will be taken in the end by Lucid. I do have a fun fact for you, Betty. Last time we saw Amumu jungle at Worlds, Season 2. It was Cloud Templar who won on it back then, so inspired bringing back the old classics.
That long.
Yeah, we saw a lot of Amumu support for a while in that one Plains, and then it disappeared for the entirety of the main
Remember that
stage.
Play-ins. Everyone was so excited
Was
about
that
it.
an Echo jungle we saw a ton of, and then just never happened again in the main stage?
Cool, that was a fun fact, especially seeing how much Amumu we've seen domestically from all over the world, really.
And also from Inspired, like it's something he wasn't
always
playing
Inspired.
for the entirety of the year, but he picked up relatively recently and has really been quite explosive on it. The Leandri's build as well, something
I mean,
that
that's
he
crucial, right?
loves.
So what we saw yesterday was Dplus KIA build a lead against Fnatic and then fall short in the fight, right? Now, FlyQuest have a great team fighting comp.
That they do.
Especially with Leona Amumu as its foundation. It's all a question of can the damage dealers dish the damage, right? Now, of course, with the solo laners being as fed as they are on Dplus KIA, you don't really want to try and force a fight yet. You want to get to those first core items, you want to wait a little bit. So the best thing for now for FlyQuest is to try and slow the game down, wait until they get those crucial spikes, and then look for a little fight later. Don't try and overforce, because you're at a deficit, but it's nothing too dramatic that you can't get yourself out of. So it's not all doom and gloom yet for FlyQuest by any means, and that's an ulti from Kingen, cautious of the fact that he is on the weak side of the map and FlyQuest are looking for a collapse. Bwipo burned both his sums though, once again to try and make a play happen, and it doesn't come to fruition.
Couldn't quite find it. Massu here to match the push in the mid lane. Level 10 to level 8. You can see how long Massu was alone on a side lane, just farming up as much gold as he could and as much experience as he could. Kingen here once again going to back away, uses the flash as Inspired was waiting, lying in wait in that bush. Dplus KIA going to try and do the same towards the top side. Quad very respectful of the fact he sees no one from DK, and then he steps up, the bolt breaker comes out, the arrow too, hits the stun onto ShowMaker, and Quad manages to escape. Less respectful than he was. Like, he was very respectful for a second, and then he walked up.
Yeah,
and he had to be bailed out by the Rookie of the Year, Massu, with that arrow saving his life.
Yeah, lost his flash in the process as well. The top tier 2 goes down, and while FlyQuest want to try and slow the game down, Dplus KIA, woohoo, yeah, Blade of the Ruined King, Yone.
Yeah, Yone's the pick of the tournament, isn't it?
It's one of those things where, like, for people that haven't played this champ, like, the champ just changes when you get this item. Like, it's crazy how much stronger you get with a single item. Berserker's Greaves and this, it's just such a massive power spike. And yeah, Bwipo, now he's completed the Stride Breaker. So at least you'll have a little bit more combat prowess, but the idea behind this matchup is that you get to really bully in the early stages when the Yone just can't fight back because he doesn't have levels or any items where he really can't trade against you. But Bwipo didn't get that. There was so much swapping in the early laning phase. The lack of TP really hurt him. He's now 15, nearly 20 CS down. And with the Blade completed, it's now going to be much harder.
And the lead that FlyQuest were able to materialize on Massu through that lane swap, through good management of those waves, is now dissipated. That's the word I was looking for, dissipated. Aiming only about a level behind, still impactful, around 600 gold for a level worth of stats, but in terms of gold, he's actually 150 ahead, so he's in a very strong position. Hasn't scaled up as much as he'd want on this Smolder, only 104 stacks. You can see that just below his portrait, but still, his team is in prime position to allow him to keep stacking up.
One thing that really scares me from the perspective of FlyQuest is I look at this map and I see, so we don't have anyone that can fight Kingen anymore. ShowMaker is 2-0-1, and they're going to try and dive him.
Seals the Amumu ultimate. Curse of the Sad Mummy, a possibility. ShowMaker stunned for so long, and he lands the curse, the hemorrhage. Noxian Guillotine hemorrhage is going to stack enough on ShowMaker. He tries to get some lifesteal back, and he will expire at the last possible moment. And now Dplus KIA on the attack. Bolt breaker in. Quad locked up. No flash for him. The Magnet Storm will pull him back. And alongside him in the grave will fall Busio. 2 to DK. ShowMaker TP back in. Bwipo able to dodge away from the abscond. Abduct the stride breaker for a little bit of extra movement speed, but you can't dodge the second. ShowMaker 4-0 on Sylas.
And it comes back to what I was just about to say. The thing that I'm scared of from FlyQuest POV is the side lanes. What do you do? Because you can't win on one side. You try to make a play on the other, and ShowMaker just demonstrated, let me outplay you, okay? And this is why his Sylas is so big. Steals away the Amumu ultimate, has the W to get the lifesteal back, but he throws the ultimate first to incapacitate them, gets the health back, and then he flashes away to safety. Meanwhile, on the bot side of the map, Kingen says, I can 2v1 you guys, because I've got Blade of the Ruin King, but also I'm setting up for my team, ready for the collapse, and we're already back into the action.
Busio blast cones to safety. And ShowMaker's still on the chase. He goes back in with an abscond abduct flash away from Busio. They might be able to turn this one around. There's a big bounty on ShowMaker's head, and Massu will secure it. Mom called as well as aiming tries to disengage the play. Busio looking for a little bit more. The arrow onto Moham. The apprehend will pull him back, and Quad takes the kill. FlyQuest find 2 out of nothing.
So some crucial picks to alleviate some of the snowball that is coming through from Dplus KIA. They overstep their boundaries. You can tell that ShowMaker's having some fun with this one, really pushing the limits of his champion to try and find more kills. But you know what the craziest thing about all of this is? They've got these side lane threats that are obviously very difficult to deal with, but the biggest problem is the wave clear coming in from the Smolder in the mid lane as well. Now the Dragon started off.
Kingen going in, Lucid looking for the steal here as well. Massu has cleanse and flash. Cease and desist not available for Lucid. Vault breakers into the pit. Kingen looking for that blast cone as well. TP in as well. FlyQuest want to take the fight. Lucid flashing out. Temper Fate going out on towards the back line, but look at the damage that Massu can already put out. Moham's in the middle of the pit. The dive in with a cease and desist, but Massu is untouched. This is huge for FlyQuest. ShowMaker and aiming trying to do everything they can to fight from a losing position. But Dplus KIA took the fight and FlyQuest slapped them down.
The coordination was all over the place from Dplus KIA, and FlyQuest take advantage of it. We talked about how their strength will be in the team fights, and this time they were able to find the outplay.
Massu just had so much free time on the back of that fight. Quad as well. Now both of them sitting at 3 kills. Massu has a gold lead. We'll have another look at this battle.
So you see first, Lucid goes in, but he goes in alone. So he then gets forced out of the pit very quickly off the fact that Inspired just says, I'm not going to give you this opportunity. Single target ultimate, but it doesn't matter because the job gets done. They force him out of the fight. Kingen then tries to get an ultimate onto Massu. Nice flash from him to get away to safety as the objective is secured. But now look, ShowMaker's off on the left. Aiming's trying to hit whatever target he can, but he's not doing that much damage this early on. And as you highlighted, Massu is just untouched with Quad right next to him. So they're just free to do so much damage against so many melee members on the side of Dplus KIA that they're able to find 4 kills.
If that's not the most Dplus KIA player I've ever seen in my life.
Correct.
That is just what they do. ShowMaker took so long to be able to join that fight.
It's so strange that I can hear Mao. Yeah. Like it's, he's just sitting here in my ear going, why?
Why would they do that? So we've had you be Jack, now we've had you be Chronicler. Yeah. Who do you want to be next, Betty? Freak? This is what peak team fights look like. It comes from Dplus KIA. But a great leave here for FlyQuest.
Let's create a summary.
Okay, let's do it.
Side lane's still a problem for FlyQuest, but they've got a clear win condition, which is the 5v5s.
True.
So now they need to be playing for these objectives, and they need to minimize their losses, as I say that.
Arrow, solar flare onto Lucid, lands the stun, bandage shots for the follow-up, and Lucid is done. Busio securing the kill, and this is the pick comp we talked about for FlyQuest.
Now,
let's create a summary, Venice.
I know, I have to...
Slightly better for
Chronicler
FlyQuest
is messaging me once more. He says, can you ask Lucid why? So let's look. Now, the push in bot had come through from Kingen, and so you imagine that Lucid was on the bot side jungle to set up some vision. Kingen...
Do we also need to ask Kingen why? Trying to seal the fate of Quad. Inspired here. The scatter of the weak, knocking him back out of the bandage toss, but the chase continues. He flashes into the curse of the sad mummy. He's not out. Very a volley. The arrow pierces his back. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Bwipo might just solo kill ShowMaker. He gets him. What the hell is happening?
This is peak League of Legends, baby. FlyQuest are finding picks on the solo laners. We just talked about how they're the biggest strength for Dplus KIA, but now things are falling apart as Dplus tried to get something back on the top side.
Weep, here's the sound of the police as Dplus KIA are looking to arrest Bwipo for that play. The Avengers on their way. FlyQuest trying to find Sylas in a fight after Bwipo falls. He'll go down first. Now the collapse begins from FlyQuest. Quad coming in from the side as well, has that unleashed power. Aiming locked up with a stun. They knock him back. The arrow goes in as well, and aiming is done for. Moham and Lucid trying to escape with a bandage shots. Finds Moham.
Baron? Is that a Baron for
It's a bad angle. ShowMaker's alive. So's Lucid and Kingen. FlyQuest, will you go for the play instead? The tower, a more worthy prize it seems. The gold will be even, Betty.
24 kills, 22 minutes. Oh, this is fantastic. Kingen, though, looking to get something back for DK. All 4 members were committed to the top side of the map.
Oh, the smite! Oh no, Massu, you were on a ward. He's going to try and escape, but ShowMaker still has an arrow in his quiver, and he's looking for Quad. He finds him. Massu able to dodge away from the abscondact dot, but he can't dodge away from ShowMaker's fists. It's a free-for-all fight, Betty, and I'm loving it.
Lucid
Baron?
now is a Baron. I might just be. There's a ward there. Inspired. Where is he? He's on the top side of the map. He's going to have to cancel his recall. As now the objective is started. Bwipo doesn't have the flash available. Moham, the blast code.
Kingen jumps in onto Bwipo. Inspired diving in as well, but Dplus KIA were just looking for the fight. Inspired falls low. The chase continues as Busio falls lower. Kingen will take him out even with a Zenith blade going back in. Dplus KIA will turn their eyes back towards the Baron.
I mean, this seesaw is going faster than I am prepared for, Medic, but it looks like Dplus KIA is going to secure the Baron. A single ward was all it took. ShowMaker returns to top lane, finds a pick onto Massu, lines a nice arrow onto Quad, and with those 2 kills, they convert it into a fight. Smart decision from them to not turn it into a 50-50 and instead shut down those FlyQuest members. Now we find ourselves back where we were earlier, with FlyQuest having to find another great fight to turn this game around.
Lots of people have lots of reasons for why they like certain Dragon Souls. I can tell you my favorite, Betty. It's the Hex Soul, because the gates mean more fighting.
That it does.
Dplus KIA immediately use the gates to get back out onto the Rift. FlyQuest are trying to gain control of the area. They'll take the Scuttle Crab, but I don't know if they'll take the Barney around the Dragon. It's going to be second of the game for DK. Kingen pushing in that bot lane, 3,000 gold ahead. Now has a QSS as well to mitigate a little bit of the CC that comes out from FlyQuest, but they do have a lot at their disposal.
I'm taking a breather.
Okay. Do you want me to just keep going for a little bit?
It's okay, because the audience needs one too.
Okay.
We find ourselves at 28 kills, 24 minutes in. Dplus KIA once again in the driver's seat. Dragon secured. With the Baron buff, they're going to be looking at, well, the base towers now, because all the tier 2s have fallen. I guess we didn't really talk about that. It was 6 towers to do. There's been so much fighting. FlyQuest, they had the momentum at their back. They were finding fight after fight, pick after pick.
Bwipo is the one who's been picked here. No flash, no ghosts, and no hope you have to feel. Kingen goes into the soul and bound, hits the Q3. And the Mortal Steel shows that Bwipo is just that. Inspired. Moham's like just around, but you can see aiming's around the corner. Lucid's on his way as well. Massu came in with a Hex Gate. The red resets. Busio trying to get onto ShowMaker. Inspired, the next target for Dplus KIA. Here's Mom, and she's not happy with Inspired. FlyQuest lose 2. The Baron's still on the backs of DK for the next minute's time as well. It may be inhibitor time for Dplus KIA.
I mean, things are just kind of fallen too far apart now for FlyQuest. With the top lane pushing in, Bwipo tried to push that wave out to slow down the siege from Dplus, but now the siege is ready. TP comes in, mid wave is being pushed in, top wave as well. They only have 4 members alive. Bwipo makes his way back onto the map.
Cease and desist forward. ShowMaker's like, good. You're good, Lucid. Sayonara 07's in the chat. But Lucid, as he falls, FlyQuest will lose their inhibitor as well.
I mean, they get the inhibitor. That's what they wanted.
That's a one-way ticket to a grave right there.
I mean, they get Massu's flash, I guess is the positive. They still walk away the victors. Listen, my job is to explain, man. I
mean, Lucid's a type of dreaming, and I'm pretty sure sometimes here I've been in a bit of a nightmare, but what a game it's been. 6,000 gold, the lead now for Dplus KIA. No objectives on the map for the next few moments at least. The Red Bull Baron power play about 2k for DK, and they got an inhibitor out of it as well. Now they'll start looking at mid and bot push. Kingen jumping back in, Busio looking for the soul of Flare, the dash out by Kingen keeps him alive. FlyQuest only 4 here. Met by 4 of Dplus KIA.
I mean, quietly on the back lines, Aiming continues to pick up Golden Farm. Bwipo now caught out.
Yeah, less quietly on the front lines. Bwipo's going in once again. Looks for the apprehend. Kingen has the flank on him. He'll dash back, knock back with the scatter of the weak, unleash power! A storm surge enough, and now the bandage shots in. A one-man ultimate onto Lucid, but ShowMaker's diving the backline. Massu has no flash, no cleanse, but he manages to escape. Lucid falling low, inspired, and Busio still pretty tanky here with the Magna Storm coming in. Aiming's on the chase, he'll make it two. One goes over to Lucid, one for Aiming. And for a moment, I thought perhaps FlyQuest had a lifeline, but Dplus KIA pulled the life ring up behind them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Medic. I really thought Dplus KIA had gone for another poor fight once again, but they turned it around. They did enough damage to the backline. Massu and Quad were zoned away into the mid lane. They were forced to retreat, meaning that Inspired and Busio were left to fend for themselves. They couldn't quite find the damage to turn the fight in their favor. But what a violent affair this game really has been. Back and forth, non-stop skirmishing. It's really what we've come to expect from watching Dplus KIA. And FlyQuest, they've found incredible opportunities, but unfortunately haven't really been able to hold onto them. They haven't been able to convert it into that much control. Have to bring your attention back to the towers, 7-2 now. FlyQuest really haven't been able to convert much off the back of finding the kills that they did.
Every opportunity has been met by an equal and opposite not-opportunity as Bwipo here is caught out. The apprehend going out as well. The arrow connects, but great jump back there by Kingen. Saving his jungler's life, most definitely. The Noxian Guillotine was on the cards for Bwipo. Baron up in a minute's time. ShowMaker looking for the flank here. He's behind Inspired and Busio, and if Quad goes the wrong way, could be caught out. ShowMaker dashes back out. Kingen's going to be left in a side lane to push into Bwipo, who is going to struggle to deal with the level 16 Yone, who has 2.5 items at his back. Moham stepping forward. Busio forced away. Can't clear the control ward. Another scat of the week from Quad. Not going to do too much. The wave pushing in the top lane. Solar Flare wide by ShowMaker, but not by Busio. As ShowMaker falls low. Inspired, though, on the front line is immediately burst out. And now Dplus KIA are in a 4v5 for the next 40 seconds. They have a wave in the bot lane.
Love the idea there from Inspired. Try and burst down ShowMaker before he has an opportunity to respond, but the stopwatch was able to come through, and they could turn the play around now without the front line.
Yeah,
PK are looking to siege.
And Bwipo's trying to do so much, but can't really do much into Dplus KIA. They have the range, they have the minions pushing in. The inhibitor tower for ShowMaker dashes to the bot lane. We'll tank a couple of tower shots for the pleasure, as Aiming is left in mid lane to take down that inhibitor. FlyQuest on their last legs. Can they find some steadiness in them? The arrow wide from ShowMaker. There's the last two ultimates he's missed. Not really an important stat, but just like to track it, you know. Solar Flare and the arrow going wide, but forces FlyQuest away. Three inhibitor towers and 2 inhibitors down so far for Dplus KIA. 29 minutes on the clock, and the Baron and the Drake alive. It would only be the third for either team, so the Dragon less of a priority than that big purple worm.
FlyQuest really find themselves full-on turtle mode now as their base lies in tatters. They can afford to give another Dragon up. If they could steal it away, the objective bounty would be a nice bit of coin to help stall the game out. 3 items finished for both their carries. Maybe if they can find a good angle, a good target, there's opportunities, but it's going to be tough. Dplus KIA continue to spread out the map and set their sights on the bot lane inhibitor.
Aiming well above that 225 mark as well for his stacks. Not as stacked as usually a Smolder would be at this point in the game, usually looking like 10 a minute at least.
But it has been chaos.
It has been chaos, and he's got the execution, which is all he really cares about, right? The extra little bit of burn damage from having those more stacks doesn't really matter when you're 7,000 gold ahead and your solo laners are a combined 4.1 thousand gold ahead of their counterparts. Third Drake of the game for Dplus KIA. Inhibitor starting to respawn in that top lane. The mid one still 330 away. And FlyQuest just trying to get all the gold they can for now. They've got 3 items on their AD carry, 3 on Quad as well. The Syndra will burst, but who are you going to burst through? ShowMaker deceptively tanky here, almost has 3,000 HP on the Sylas, also has a Zhonya's. The Baron begun by Dplus KIA. Kingen looking for the flank on Massu, who puts the arrow down and wasn't expecting it. He flashes away, Inspired! That's a special delivery. Inspired going for more, the QSS out, but the Baron's being done. FlyQuest, while all of this happens, who cares? If you kill Kingen, you can't even take him out that quickly. The Baron will be secured by Dplus KIA. FlyQuest got whatever little meager bit of hope they could from killing Kingen, and immediately they see that purple buff around Dplus KIA.
They recognize the goal difference is massive, so even if they try and force the fight, there's no guarantee that they can win it. Instead, they'll take the pick, deny at the very least one Baron buff, making that split push threat slightly better. But of course, back still against the wall. They're going to try and stall for as long as they can, wait for that single fight that could potentially turn the entire game around, get quad level 16, those 3 points in his ultimate for that extra bit of damage.
He's stacked up 120 splinters as well, so has that extra AP, the execute as well, on his ultimate if he can find someone. Massu, importantly, no flash.
But look at the position of FlyQuest right now. 2 members quite pushed up on the top lane. Bwipo, ooh, that is quite far up, but he's not going to be punished for it. Dplus KIA playing through 2 lanes. They know they have the super minions in top to
Kingen.
keep that pressure going.
Is he going to TP to top lane here? Or is he just going to run out, use those Hex Gates? The Baron on DK for the next 2 minutes. Currently just shepherding in these minions. The top lane inhib, obviously an option for them. The wave not in the best of spots. It looks like Kingen's going up there to rectify that situation, and aiming starting to put quite a lot of damage down onto Bwipo from range. That rapid fire cannon doing work in this exchange. The inhibitor already down to half HP. FlyQuest, like, what can you do? You just got a shotgun engage, but Busio has no flash either. You need a solar flare, you need a scatter the weak, you need something special from someone, because right now you are just bleeding out. The solar flare from ShowMaker likely expiring. Chucks it out to see if anyone is expiring alongside it. Kingen looking for that third inhib, and likely the final nail in FlyQuest's coffin. Kingen dashes back. Moham still looking for the engage. FlyQuest still haven't pulled the trigger. They've got the finger on it, but they can't find the engage. Third inhibitor down now, and Dplus KIA just walk in the minions. FlyQuest, at some point you gotta go for it, because right now your Nexus towers are under siege. The Zenith Blade wide, inspired, flashes, looks for the curse of the Sad Mummy. Lucid falls with a Magnus Storm on the back line, is devastating. FlyQuest slain where they stand, and Dplus KIA will take the game away. FlyQuest fought back valiantly, but in the end there was only one victor today. Dplus KIA go to 2-0.
The LCK find themselves with winning ways today, as every single team was able to win out on their opposition. And Dplus KIA will join the 2-0 teams. A chaotic game, an entertaining game. Let's hear from the AD as to what they thought about this game.
Entertaining for sure, but I don't think that's what we want. I'm gonna turn to Raz
Heartbroken,
first
maybe.
here. Yeah, right?
Better turn.
That last fight, man. But some good elements from FlyQuest, I feel.
Yeah, 100%. I think when they were able to come back in, for me, it was the pick on ShowMaker and Moham 17 minutes in, and then being able to get that great team fight around Dragon. Those 2 plays gave a lot of hope, but Dplus KIA was like, we were in this position just yesterday. Found good team fights to come back into the game. So like, I guess it's just team fight practice for them.
No, and the more I watch Dplus, the more I understand why some of the fans have some trust issues, and definitely see the likeness to Fnatic in that, because I think their early game was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think Moham on the Rell had action happen wherever he went on the map. I thought they used him really effectively in terms of when he could move from the bot lane into the mid lane to find a kill on quad, then up to the top side to make sure that whoever was up there defending that lane swap was dying. It was Bwipo as well at times, and they were just kind of rotating the entire map around their playmakers in Lucid and in Moham, and it felt like they were just going to win by default by pressing an R button and making sure that whoever they saw, they died. Then of course we got to what you were talking about, Raz, where they definitely had a little bit of fun, and that is what we've come to know from Dplus KIA.
Yep, they had a little bit of fun. You're right. Like the play that they made on both side lanes, basically it was pick on quad on bot lane at the same time of being able to repel a dive and then TP back in to see if they can get ShowMaker can get a kill top side. There's like 2 things that Dplus were like, we were winning both sides, we were like overstaying at times, and then FlyQuest was able to punish and then like find a way back in, which I did like from the team. So it was just that damn word top lane, because after FlyQuest got another successful fight up top side, and then you started to see Quad and Massu basing on a ward, then they both die, and it was just messy at that point. It sucked.
Do you guys feel like they had enough tools to bounce back, have enough win conditions? Because I look at this, I see 2 very different approaches. There's the vintage approach, very Season 6, very, very demure, very mindful on the side of FlyQuest. And what do you expect from a composition playing in 2024 here on the side of Dplus KIA? But I'm not sure that's what you want to do on red side.
Yeah, but I mean, they came in with a plan. They wanted to team fight. They wanted to go throw everything at them. They had any pick potential that they needed. They had all the ultimates to set yourself up for success. Now that ultimate there is the key part, because someone definitely forgot Sylas was a champion. All the picks that you got on your team, you suddenly had available on Sylas as well, and I think that he had a lot of fun with that. Am I gonna make?
Would you mind
bring him
scratching
in, bring him
a
in,
bit?
bring him in.
Because
Talking,
yeah,
and we
we
can
have
welcome
Hell
Bwipo
yes.
to the desk.
we have a guest. Bwipo, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
After this game, we were just talking about your approach in draft, the fact that you're one of the few teams to like red side actually, and like the utility you can get on red side. Can you talk us through the approach and the understanding you had from Dplus KIA?
I think we had a pretty general idea that they're like a standard Korean team. We were pretty surprised that they flexed. We knew that they liked carry tops, but I was still surprised they flexed the on top.
Yeah.
I went for a counter pick, and we got lane swapped on, which is something that I'm pretty comfortable with. I think we came out pretty good out of the lane swap, but unfortunately, the second time around when they lane swapped, I made a big mistake, and we ended up losing a lot of plates and just a lot of. I felt like really far behind after I died behind my tower, and I think that that's why my champion, like, Darius can't fall behind too far. Otherwise, he's like a very problematic champion in the sense that he doesn't survive. He kind of gets one shot and focused down, and that's kind of the story of the game for me this game, and I feel pretty bad about that. Yeah, big mistake.
Were you surprised by the way that you guys basically found a way to kind of claw back into the game? Because it felt like it was a mistake that of ShowMaker, or at least of ShowMaker and Moham overstaying in topside, red side jungle.
I mean, I wasn't surprised because of the, you know, kind of the feedback we got in the sense of like, you know, this team likes to throw, like they make mistakes, so don't worry even if you fall behind. It wasn't really coach feedback, but it was still something that like we kept in the back of our minds.
Yeah.
That said, I think we actually threw back when we got caught on top side, and that's when the game went south. And yeah, in general, just a bit unfortunate, but got to focus on the next game and learn what we can from this game.
I do want to show that Drake fight though, because I feel like there's still room to celebrate some success in a game that still wasn't won in general. Like I really like the pick you guys had on ShowMaker, where it kind of just gives you priority in a game where honestly it felt like with the tempo advantage that DK had secured for themselves in the early game, that you should never be the first on a dragon fight, right? And I think that pick that you got on ShowMaker really put you in a position where you were the first who could actually contest it. Were you surprised that they wanted to fight you around that Drake, despite having ShowMaker on such a late reset?
I mean, yeah, I don't mind, you know, like if I have numbers, I count them and I just stand there, and if they want to kill me so badly, they can come and kill me. I don't really mind. I try to bait a good fight for my team. I think the one thing I could have done better is get the reset off the Rell instead of running into the pit, but at the same time, Vi kind of panicked and ulted me, and I was pretty happy getting ulted because that means that my Ashe, which was really strong in the game, is going to be able to take over because she burned her flash here, and then right now, instead of going for the free reset off the Rell, I was already walking into the pit, and they used all their spells on me, like solo in the pit basically, so that ended up making the fight pretty like easy to win, if you will. And even though it ended up being a 4-for-2, I mean, you know, hopefully a 4-for-1 could have happened or whatever, but maybe it could have been like a 2-for-0 or something instead if I hadn't gone into the pit, but that's my minute stuff to review. I feel like there's a lot more to review on my end and on how to improve, because I feel like I played pretty poorly this game.
Outside of that, because you're pretty self-reflective on that, some other takeaways that you guys had so far in the tournament, because you guys are 1-1, you guys had a pretty extensive boot camp, I think, at the Vitality spot. Some of the takeaways that you guys have had as a team, and some points that you feel like you've improved, without saying obviously too much.
Yeah.
How do I not say too much?
Yeah, that's actually fair.
Yeah, it's like I feel like we just improved a lot as a team, and like understanding kind of the importance of connecting to the same vision of the game is really important.
Yeah.
I think that we had some disconnect in terms of stress of like how the game was going. And I think that's something that I, you know, right now desperately want to discuss. I want to feel like, I want to understand how my teammates are feeling in the game.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be able to express like, hey, here I felt stressed to look for a play because of this and that. And, you know, being on the same page there, because like when they swapped on us, I feel like that was a bad situation for them. And had I been more patient, I think my teammates would have appreciated that. I mean, that's obvious, but sometimes it's not so obvious, right?
Yeah.
It's like, when should you be patient and not feel stress even though you're getting multi-man ganked? When should you feel stress and still make a play when you get multi-man ganked? When should you feel the stress to come in group and make a play because someone is outscaling? These kind of questions are currently flooding my mind, and I'd like to find some answers to that so I can be more connected with my team.
And it's always interesting to have these insights because people don't realize how important it is actually, and you just find each other on the same page basically when you're at Worlds, the prime moment of the year. Bwipo, I think you're going to stay with us for the next match for a bit. but we're gonna tell Sid to break. Thank you. Well, there you go. You're gonna have to stay with us for the Fnatic draft. Actually, that's gonna be interesting. But that's all for us here on this side of the studio. We'll be right back in just a minute. We're gonna do the draft at the desk with people. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Break it for a little bit of extra movement speed, but you can't dodge the second.
Nice. Yeah, they're choking. Go, bye. In the pit, guys. In the pit. This will be a good fight. We kill everyone. Nice. Front to back.
Sylas.
Yeah, Sylas first. Nice. Nice job, guys.
But the chase continues. He flashes into the curves of the Sand Mummy. He's not out. Betty a volley.
Top lane.
Back. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Bwipo might just solo kill ShowMaker. He gets him. What the hell is happening? Inspired flashes. Looks for the curse of the Sand Mummy. Lucid falls with a Magnus Storm on the back line. Is devastating. FlyQuest slain where they stand.